Hope that it's good where you are and that you're having a great day, evening, night, morning, whatever time it is, and that you're doing good more than anything. Anything on? Someone's driving here kind of crazy. All right. Um, so, as I reported to you briefly in the last video, we spoke about Bitcoin. Now I want to tell you real quick about what's going on with the Israel Hezbollah ceasefire and the Israel Hamas war that remains ongoing, and the head of the octopus, Iran. So I am happy to report that day 5 into this so-called ceasefire, it appears to be holding in terms of not having a lot of cross-border fire. In fact, we haven't had any cross-border fire from Lebanon into North Israel or Central Israel since the ceasefire. However, there have been a number of violations of the ceasefire inside of Lebanon, including various members of Hezbollah taking part in illegal activities that were violations of the ceasefire. Some of them were attacked earlier today by Israel in response to their violations of the ceasefire. And some of them were cases where there were ordinances hidden in places where they're not allowed to be, like in churches. So those had to be destroyed. Not the churches, but the ordinances had to be captured, documented, and whatever they do with them, I guess destroy them or something. Take some of them for forensic evaluation and stuff, but generally destroy stuff, a lot of stuff in the field, like tunnels that they found, more tunnels, and of course the number of people that were trying to return to their homes and villages prior to being told that it's safe to go. So they had to be driven back by the Lebanese army as well as by the Israeli soldiers. Some people were quite aggressive and had to be arrested because they were being pushy and shovey, I guess. Pushing and shoving, trying to get their way, trying to make their way back to their homes, even though they were told it's not safe. And I mean, it's understandable. These people have been, in some cases, out of their homes for up to, for a good number of months already. In some cases, it's, a couple months. In some cases, maybe more. Depends kind of where they're from. But most cases, in South Lebanon, it's really just been a couple months since Israel went in there. But still, it's not pleasant to be moved from your home a couple months. Hello, hi, folks. But, in northern Israel, many towns and villages have been practically ghost towns now for 14 months. And some of those homes have been fully destroyed because they've been hit. Some homes are severely destroyed because they were hit. Some are partially destroyed because they were hit. Some are lightly damaged because they were hit. It really depends on the house. And, 60 or 70,000 people, maybe up to 100,000 people have been homeless for about a year. And they've been living in temporary shelters or hotel rooms or wherever they might be on government stipends. They basically pay their hotel bills. And the government of Israel has recently said, starting in February 2025, residents of the north should be able to, as long as the ceasefire holds up, should be able to return to their homes and villages in the north, and their towns in the north, as long as the ceasefire holds up. And that for now, reconstruction is, it's okay to do. There's already been reconstruction happening, starting in larger numbers since Friday of last week, before the Shabbat, before the Sabbath came in. And again, Sunday today, people were back at work doing reconstruction up in the north, people that are, in the building trades, and people whose houses were completely destroyed or heavily destroyed, and they need to have their houses basically replaced, are going to have their houses rebuilt at a higher value than the previous house that they had, as a compensation for the fact that they lost their homes and they were homeless for a year or so. or more in many cases. And couples, or sorry, families with kids who move back to the north starting in February will be given a stipend of like $15,000 by the government, roughly 60,000 shekels. Couples without kids that move back to the north starting in February will get 20,000 shekels, around $5,000. And for every month that couples or families don't return to the north after February, they'll lose, I think, like 10 or 20% of their stipend, except in cases where, again, people who lost their homes completely need to wait, or people whose houses have to be rebuilt, by the government. They have to obviously wait until their houses are rebuilt before they can move in. That makes obvious sense. So they'll continue to get, enough of a stipend, the stipend they have. Whether it's enough or not is a different story, but they'll continue to get the stipend that they get in order to be able to pay for, the hotels that they're staying at or the houses they're renting or whatever their particular living conditions are. And, that's all while Israel is still fighting a war full on against Hamas in Gaza. And just today, despite this relative quiet in the north, the center of Israel had a rocket blast at like 5 in the morning. No, a rocket alert, siren alert across much of central Israel. Basically everywhere between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, all the little towns and villages that are between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, suburbs of Tel Aviv, suburbs of Jerusalem, all that area in between. It was just a big, giant, fat red dot on the map of sirens going off because of attacks from Gaza, rockets or missiles or drones or whatever they shot. And we're seeing continual attacks coming out of Gaza. Like, every day they're shooting something. They have not stopped, right? More than a year and 2 months into it, and they continue to, despite Israel, destroying much of their infrastructure, they still manage to find ways to shoot rockets and missiles and whatever they can, and just making people run for shelters all over Israel. While the Israeli army continues to do what it can to uproot the Hamas, get them out of power, and get the hostages back. And all that while Iran is the head of the octopus, and they have signaled, through Hamas that Hamas is willing to negotiate any kind of ceasefire right now. But at the same time, Hezbollah has also said that, Iran rather has said that it fully supports Hezbollah, it fully supports Syria, where there's anti-Assad forces fighting right now. They're Islamist forces, so not exactly great friends of Israel, but they're anti-Assad forces who were taking over Aleppo. And Hezbollah has said exactly what I said it would do. Right? Iran has said as well for the next attack against Israel. So once again, my prognostication that Hezbollah will basically use the ceasefire to regroup, rearm, recruit, and regain strength to fight against Israel in another war to come is unfortunately being borne out very clearly by the words and actions of Iran and Hezbollah. And hopefully the ceasefire lasts forever and becomes a real peace. But based on those words and their actions, I ain't waiting up nights. I'm not losing sleep over this. But at the same time, keeping, always being situationally aware when you're anywhere near a war zone. You have to be, whether you're in one or near one, you have to be situationally aware regardless of where you are, but especially when you're in a country that's surrounded by crazy neighbors who just want to destroy you for no reason. Anyway, that's it for now. And stay safe and peace. Talk to you guys later.